Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of We Are the South Stand with myself, Daps. It is the morning after the night before. We are through. We're not through to the next stages. We're through to the playoffs, right? Let's be clear. And a few people's pull us up on that. Probably not the teams that we wanted, but you know what? I get another European away, so I'm not mad at it. But our sight goes back to the Premier League. Massive. What? Probably massive. It's going to be a massive weekend every single weekend in the Premier League for us. But we've got a big game this weekend. Arsenal away at the Emirates, especially off the back of the first game that was a bit heated, and we needed to get a good Arsenal representative on. Now, who we have on this show, we've had a lot of you ask for. I think it's pretty safe to say that in the Manchester City community, probably in most other rival fans, probably not Spurs, maybe not Chelsea, this guy's seen as one of the good guys, one of the good Arsenal fans, one of the non-biased, one of the ones that talk sense, game going, one of my personal favourites as well, the one and only Dan POTTS. What are you saying, bro?
Bruv, pleasure. Thank you for that nice intro. Appreciate your kind words and thank you for having me on, man. And I appreciate you. And listen, big up to you and Steve and the guys for doing this because it's a long time coming, man. We are the South Stand. Make sure you like and subscribe, people. Big up.
Absolutely, yeah. Please. The response so far has been amazing with all the likes on every single video. So the usual housekeeping, people, make sure you are running up those likes. Let's get those likes into the 200, 300, 400, 500s for this video, please. But Dan, let's start with last night. We both played last night. Won't talk too much on City. Did you catch any of the City game?
Listen, I saw the goals. I was watching, obviously, our game. Our game was a dead rubber, to be fair, because we were through and they were out. But we got the job done. And we made some changes, which obviously will be beneficial to the weekend's game.
Yeah.
But I saw your result when you went 1-0 down. I thought, no way. Like, really, that is just not what I expected at all. I thought that you'd comfortably win. And in the end, you did, to be fair. I don't know what their defence were doing for your goals. I've got to say that. I thought that number 4, whoever he is, was an absolute disgrace. But look, you got the job done. That's what you needed to do. I expected you to win. I expected you to go through. The damage was kind of already done. I don't think you should have been in that situation. But the way that City have gone this season is just mad. It's just absolutely mad to see. So, look, you go through now. I don't know the teams that you can get, though. So perhaps you can tell me.
Oh,
no.
Well, from Real Madrid or Bayern Munich.
Wow. Wow. I heard Real Madrid.
But you know what it is, Dan? It's the same as in the transfer market at the moment, where it's kind of what is the 20? Is it the 30th today? I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the 30th of January. We desperately need a DM. Whether we get one on loan or pay over the odds, we've put ourselves in that position by maybe a bit of an oversight and not strengthening in the summer. And it's the same with this, that we've put ourselves in this position as well. I think you're spot on that the warning signs in the Champions League for me have been there from game week 1. We look at the Premier League, and obviously the Premier League, we started really well. We came flying out of the blocks. Although, again, if you watch City, you were looking at us going, hold on, we don't look quite right. But the Champions League, we've been poor the whole of this, the group stages. So, yeah, the warning signs were there. And do you know what? That's what happens. We now have a tough draw. But the one thing I will say is, because last night when we did a game review, there was a lot of kind of, we're out. Look, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are also in the playoffs for a reason, that they also
100%.
haven't been brilliant. And do you know what? We have to do what we had to do when we won the Champions League. We had to play Bayern Munich. We had to play Real Madrid. We're not in as good a position to face either of them. But I think the key for me, when I look at last night, and I look at the weekend, so the last 5 days, is we've gone 1-0 down twice and we've come back and won 3-1. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say we're blowing teams away. I'm not going to sit here and say we look like the City of old. But compared to where we were 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we're in a lot better place. So, yeah, but over to the game at the weekend. Let's start off with, in fact, no. Firstly, I want to ask you, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening, bro. I'll tell you why. I don't think it's that he doesn't want to come or that we don't want him. I genuinely think we do. We wouldn't be bidding for him otherwise, and he wouldn't be saying how much of a big fan he is. We all knew he's a gooner,
Yeah.
boyhood gooner.
It came
He's
out
got the
about 4
29.
years ago, didn't it? That he was
Bro, yeah,
yeah.
he's kind of made it clear that he would be happy to move to Arsenal at some part of his career. Now he's 29. He's probably got that move left in him now. If it goes past that stage, you'd probably think that he wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
I've been quite surprised by the amount of Arsenal fans that are scoffing at it, because it's not like we're spoilt for choice up front. However, it doesn't excite me or take us across the line, in my opinion, even with Ollie Watkins, who I think he's a good player, would be a good signing. But now that Duran looks like he's gone to Saudi Arabia, there's no way Villa are getting both of them gone, mate. So I can't see this one happening now.
Now, I said yesterday, we were obviously doing a watch along for the City game, but I said to I had someone, kind of my mate that lives with me, keeping me up to date with the scores. And when he said Watkins scored, I said, "Did he kiss the badge?" Right, and did he look over at the bench and see Duran just doing that at him?
Mate,
But yeah,
he did miss a really bad penalty though. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, mate, absolute howler. John Terry vibes, wasn't it?
Was.
Yeah, absolute howler. But they still I believe they won 3-2, didn't they? After letting
So
Celtic
they went
back
through
in.
to the top 7. Yeah,
Just
I think they're
quickly,
top
actually,
8,
what do you think of that the last group stages all being played at the same time?
No, I got to be real. I liked it. I wasn't a fan of
Yeah.
it when it was put together, and I've got to be real. The reason I probably wasn't is because I'm a bit old school, and I don't want to be this.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're going to make a European Super League because this is now working. So I don't want fans to start going, yeah, getting gassed, and then we're in a European Super League, because I really am kind of against that. However, I liked the new format. It was better than the group stage of old. They were dead and boring. You're only really looking at 3 teams that way, the 3 in
Yeah.
your group. Now it's like, wow, everyone's moving like this up a table. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
I
think it's
liked
a lot
that.
more.
I liked
Yeah,
that.
it's a lot more. Yeah, you don't know who you're going to play, and you can get a good draw, you can get a bad draw. Maybe that is why some teams like Real Madrid haven't done so well. Brest, Michael Richards' favourite, they've gone and done quite well. So, but yeah, okay. So, so let's move on to the game at the weekend, Dan. Oh, actually, just quickly on Ollie Watkins. My thing with Ollie is, I think personally, for the amount of money that was being rumoured, I thought. And I heard Cass do a video on it, and he was saying, Ollie Watkins, he makes good runs, and he was saying certain things, but he's not overly clinical. I said, it sounds like Gabriel Jesus a little bit, right? He's more clinical than Gabriel Jesus. And for me, it's a bit, Arsenal have got ballers, right? You just need a gunman, right?
A killer.
And if you're going to spend 70 million or 60 million on Ollie Watkins, go and get Osherman, right? Go and get someone that's a bit more proven,
Or
as a
even
goal scorer.
Gyökeres, man.
Or
Even
Gyökeres. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And now I think that's where with Arsenal it's a bit like, okay, cool. So you've played your hand that you are willing to spend money. Well, you've got 3 days left. Where's that money going to go now? Then are you going to go and try and hit up?
Well, we've shown our hands now. We've shown our hands now. We know we got the money. We tried to get Sesko. He's not available till the summer. We've tried to get Watkins. Doesn't look like Villa want him. What now? Go and get Osimhen or Gyökeres then, because they're the only 2 that are available this window. Now, what I think will happen, typical Arsenal fashion, is we'll do nothing and go, well, we tried, but Sesko weren't available and Watkins don't want to come. Or Villa don't want to sell. That's what we'll do, because that's Arsenal all over, mate.
I do hear it, because I'm pretty certain in the summer that's kind of what happened in the summer. It's one of those ones where you can say we tried, right?
And that's what we always do. We tried, but we didn't try hard enough then, because no one's come through the door.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what frustrates me. You could do the same. Oh, we tried, but like, people say no one's available. Well, Man City have signed Vitor Hayes, Huzanov, and Marmoush. Apparently, no one's available and no one can come. Well, how have you signed them 3 then? And it looks like you're getting Cambiasso and Douglas Luiz from the rumours, if they're true. So these players are all coming in. So what? Man City are going to get 5 players. We're going to do nothing because no one's available. Make it make sense, bro.
Yeah. No, do you know what? My mate who's an Arsenal fan ran me last night. He actually ran me at midnight just to make sure that he goes, I've seen there was a fire at the Etihad. I said, mate, I wasn't there tonight. And he said,
oh, bless him.
I know, mate. It's really weird. As we get old, all of a sudden he's starting to care a lot more, where generally he couldn't give a shit about me. But anyway, then he said, just quickly, and he spoke about Watkins, and he was very much kind of, look, I'm bored. You've seen me in the group chat. I keep saying every single transfer window, we've got let's move on to Arteta, because this is relevant to the Arteta thing. Look, Dan, I think I can talk on behalf of Steve and myself. We've been Arteta I'm not going to say fans, but we've kind of told Arsenal fans for a long time, look, he's the right man for the job. And I do believe that he's got you to a better place. I think he's come in, and for whatever reason, he got the board listening to him, right? He's got the board moving better than they used to. They're getting rid of the bagheads, getting the team spirit, all of that stuff. He's done great. I know you've always had your question marks. I remember doing a show with you probably about 2 years ago, and you weren't really too sure. I must admit, it's got to the point now where I am, you know what? I'm hearing the noise that some Arsenal fans like yourself are making, that maybe now is thanks, Arteta. Thanks, Mikel. You've got us to a point. Is that how you feel ultimately, that your time is done?
I do. And a lot of people think that I just can't stand the manager and never have liked him. That's absolute waffle. Like, he played for the club. I think what he's done to get us challenging has been good and deserves praise. My problem is that I look back at it and think, well, I remember this 5 years as a successful time for Mikel Arteta. And the reason I will say no is because I haven't done that. And when you do that, you can say, fair play. Now, people will say, well, he did do that with champions, with the Charity Shield and the FA Cups. I don't count Charity Shields. And FA Cup was actually when he first walked in with a team that he just picked up, that he just tried to get across the line. Since he's actually put together and assembled a team that I think is very good for £700 million worth, he's not been able to get across the line. Now, I'm not saying that we were coming up against bozos, because Manchester City are a phenomenal side that we struggled to get past and we got across the line against in the last 2 years. So when I look at it, I think, Manchester City deserve a hell of a lot of credit. My problem now is, what do you say now they've fallen off? Now Arnie Slot can walk in and potentially win ahead of you, and Maresca might be able to pick up his first trophy ahead of you. I'm starting to wonder what's going on. When's it our time? So, look, we've gone out of both domestic cups again. I know we're not out of the Carabao Cup yet, but we're probably going to be against Newcastle in the coming weeks, days, should I say. Then we've got this Champions League and Premier League scenario. Now, if he convinces everybody he's the right guy, he's got to win one of those daps, in my opinion, this season. And I don't think he's going to win the Champions League because his European heritage is not great as a club, and certainly as a manager it's not fantastic either, albeit he's done well so far in this new format. And the Premier League at the moment, we're relying on Liverpool to lose about 4 games, and Arsenal have got to go unbeaten, win every single one. I think that's going to be too much of an ask again. So then we're potentially going to get to another season where we're going to end up trophyless. When do we say enough's enough? Or do we just keep going with him and go, eventually he'll get it right? It might take another 10 years. I think what people are misunderstanding is that there is other managers out there, and people are now starting to look at that and go, okay, so would I take a Zidane, albeit I don't think he'd come? Would you take a Simone Inzaghi? Would you take a Diego Simeone? All of the CVs of those managers say, I win. Look at this CV. Mikel Arteta is still building his. And look, I think he's done great.
And he is. He's still, I think that's the key. When people compare him to Klopp, and this is a problem, I think, in the world that we live in, is that people on Twitter, I'm going to call it out, it's predominantly people on Twitter, they live in this world where straight away they want to go and compare him to Jurgen Klopp. Now, if you're going to do a comparison with Jurgen Klopp, please do a proper comparison. Please go and look at Jurgen Klopp's build-up. Look at the clubs that Jurgen Klopp was at before he got to even Dortmund, let alone Liverpool, right? He had to go through a period of building his CV. He had to go through a period. Even once he got to Dortmund, it took him a while to win a trophy, right? Arteta is still at a very early stage of his football career, right? And people at City, he was a coach, right? That he wasn't a manager, he was a coach. I get this feeling, right? And look, I absolutely loved one of your rants where you're talking about this is the same man that, and you were listing all the weird things that he did. What was the one he did recently? He did a new one, didn't he? He was playing samba music. That was a new one. Do you know what? I look at it and I think he's not dissimilar to Pep, you know, but I think the problem is that when Pep is talking to the players, he talks very passionately, right? But he doesn't use props. He doesn't use examples. And I think it's almost like Arteta has come up under Pep and seen the whole thing of being passionate and kind of talking about playing with your heart and all of that. But then he takes it to the next level where he's drawing pictures, and it's a bit like, this is too far now. But do you think that, and this is a question, been thinking about this recently through debates I've had with some Arsenal fans where they're coming up, they're constantly talking about the referees and everything. And by the way, I think you've had some very bad decisions against you this season, right? I do. And this is where I think a lot of us rivals, we share your opinion on the referees. We think referees are inconsistent. We think actually some of your decisions, some of the rulings very wrong. That's the key to this, is some of the rules are shit, right, as well. Some of the rules are grey, so it's down to opinion. But it's when Arsenal fans then start doing the everyone's against us, and then start bringing up, say, City and saying you lot are cheats, and then it's like, whoa, I can't. I was with you on the journey about referees, but then you've started to go a bit too far now. And my question is, do you think that Arteta, to a certain extent, is feeding into that, and that maybe that is building a mentality that is not the mentality that Arsenal had under Wenger, where it's a bit
I
of
think
a
that is a great question, man. I think that is such a good question. And it's a question that I'll struggle to answer without knowing the insides and outs of what actually does go on and what Mikel Arteta does think. Because I think that he was gone from naive in press conferences to saying silly stuff to now he's trying to be a little bit more careful. There is still times I think, what are you saying? I mean, for example, the most recent one is the ball's a bit different in this competition. Well, you've scored 8 goals with it like previously. What's the problem now? So he does say silly stuff. Look, I don't mind what Arteta does on the antics. I did go on a rant about it, but actually if it wins us stuff, I don't care. It's because it's not winning us stuff. So when you go and blast, you'll never walk alone out, you lose 4-0, you look like a bit of a prat. Yeah. When you start putting light bulbs in your hands and you start drawing brains and hearts and start playing samba music and you don't win, you look a bit silly, right? So that's why I bring it up. Levens in jars and win the dog and you don't win. This kind of stuff frustrates the hell out of me, right? Because it's all a bit PR spin.
Yeah.
But actually, when you look at what he has said and what he's done with the referees, the dark arts and all this kind of stuff, I don't mind a bit of that, Daps, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind a bit of it. I'm a little bit old school about that. But when you actually take it to new levels, it can become very frustrating. So why does it take us 15 to 20 seconds to take a throw in? Why does it take us a minute to take a corner? Why? That's just going too far now. It's the 32nd minute and we're wasting time. We've had David Raya booked, and every time he's been booked, it's been 1-1. It's not been 4-0 to score. We've been winning. It's been 1-1. What are you doing? What are you waiting for, bruv? Timber has done that a few times as well. Party, all these guys. So I think what he's doing is I think he's going a bit too over the top. And this is my biggest question mark, maybe criticism for Mikel. He overthinks way too much. Now, I know that Pep does that, but Pep has got a credit in the bank and record to say, you overthink as much as you want, my friend, because it's working. Right? With Mikel Arteta, he's overthinking and he's getting it wrong. So I'll give you a quick example, right? The first year we went in the title race against you guys, no one saw it coming. I didn't. We bought Jesus and Zinchenko to try and get top 4. We found ourselves in a title race. That season afterwards, he did bottle it, he did throw it away, and he did apparently consider walking away, thinking, how the hell have I thrown that league title away? It really got to him, right? The season after that, he completely overthought. All he needed to do was go, right, what didn't I have? I need to replace Xhaka with a proper 8. I need to go and get a prolific striker. I probably need some cover for Saka, and I might need cover for Saliba. Those 4 players need to come in, 2 of which still haven't come in, by the way. Actually, 3 out of those 4 still haven't. Then you look at the situation of what he did do, and he went, right, scrap all that up, throw it away. We need to be a defensive, resolute, compact side now. We need to win 1-0 Tony Pulis style. Why? Where's the PTSD gone for that much to go, right? Manchester City fans, and I know them, yourself, Steele, LB, Hugh, all these guys I'm talking to are like, all you needed to do was go again with a few more players. But you've completely threw it out in the bin. This season, he's missed out by Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins' goal. That was the only game that we lost in the whole of that January period, January to May. And then again this season, instead of going, right, let's go and get the players we need, he's tried to do a cheapskate version of Saka with Sterling. He's gone and got Marino and Calafiori to try and sort out his left-hand side and gone, that's enough. And then he's gone, I just want to keep the ball and I want to go Tony Pulis, set piece FC, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Let's be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Now, that's fine if you're a George Graham or a Simeone and you're winning doing it. But when you're playing that way and you're not winning, you're turning to David Moyes very quickly, right? So for me, that's why I've got a problem with Mikel Arteta is overthinking. Because you've just proven to me that you can play scintillating football and blast teams and blitz them. But you're now referring back to this because you're so scared to lose a game that you're overthinking stuff, that you're actually losing games still. And that's the problem I've got with Mikel. He just needs to stick to one plan and actually do it. And when you've got 5 or 6 things that you're half doing and not getting over the line in any of them, you need to either stick to one and complete it, or stick to one and then change and stick to one and win it.
Yeah.
Like he's gone about 4 or 5 different ways of not winning, and that's what I get frustrated with.
Do you think that's slightly because, like I just said, that if we're being fair to Mikel, it's his first job as a manager? And so at the
Absolutely.
moment, he's still learning on the job. And this is a thing that maybe if he had a few seasons, he'd believe in his... The mad thing is, he trusts his own process. He
Yeah,
trusts his
exactly that.
process. That's the craziest thing, that maybe he doesn't trust the process that he came with. He's now reverting and reverting. I think you're spot on with the overthinking. So let's talk about this weekend. I think it's an interesting one. You've got the result. We both got result yesterday. I think you probably looked little bit better than us. But I am liking the fact that we are showing a bit of fighting desire at last. And kind of, I was having a bit of a rant at some City fans yesterday saying, look, I know we're knocking De Bruyne. De Bruyne wasn't good yesterday. We're knocking Gundogan. We're knocking some of our old guard. But do you know what? In the last 2 games, some of our old guard have actually shown that fighting desire to get us over the line. But obviously, coming into this game, for the first time, I actually think there's more pressure on Arsenal than there is City. Now, you're not the team that you were 3 years ago. Remember when it was a point where we'd won, I think, 19 out of the last 20 games, something like that against Arsenal. We know you're not the same team. I'll be honest with you, Dan, I've already said it. If we can take a draw and get out the Emirates, I'm more than happy with that, where we are at the moment. But you're obviously missing Saka. Now, the young kid, Ethan, scored yesterday. Do you think he's going to be important in this game on Sunday?
Bro, he is so good.
Yeah.
Bro, he's so good. He's a breath of fresh air. He's what we've needed. And I think Mikel Arteta's realised he should have utilised him more when Odegaard was injured, because the kid is a baller. And I know he's young, and I appreciate there's a lot of pressure on him. But he's composed, he's confident, he's calm, he's a threat. He looks really comfortable on the ball. He's fearless, and it's what you need sometimes. And I never thought I'd say this season, because I thought this season was the year that we had to get across the line. But 2 of our best players this year have been Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri.
Yeah.
And that is mad. So I have 2 17-year-olds that have come into the side who, by the way, absolutely start right now. Whether they start when everyone's back fit is a different question. But for me, they both start left back and right wing.
And they both
Even
can't they?
last
Skelly's available, isn't he, now?
Yep, they're both back. So Skelly's available now because his red card got overturned, which is the right decision in my opinion.
Yeah,
And then
same.
obviously Saka being out, we're going to have to play NWANERI. So I think those 2 are probably 2 of the better players right now that we're looking at, as they've come through the youth system. They know what it's like to wear the shirt. They understand what it means to be around the club. They've grew up with that culture. They've seen it around them. They've had it drilled into them since day dot. And they look like they're good enough. And I've always been one of these believers that if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah.
And that for me is 2 players I can see that are good enough right now for what we've got. I'm not playing Sterling ahead of him. I'm not playing Martinelli or Trossard in that position ahead of Ethan. Ethan is the guy that he looks, when I say looks like Saka, people think, oh my God, calm down. But I don't say he's as good as Saka, but he certainly attributes-wise looks as good as him. He cuts in on that left foot. He looks really good for goal. He looks like he's always going to be a threat. Looks like he's always going to shoot. Happy to link up play. Got a lot about him. Very, very strong for a 17-year-old, as is Miles Lewis-Skelly. And I think that definitely puts you in good stead in this league. So the only question mark this weekend for team news is Raya, because apparently he was actually injured last night. So that's why Neto is playing.
Right.
And who, by the way, is
for the
shocking.
first goal. Yeah. Don't know what's more shocking, that or his first name's a bit of a mad one as well.
Well, Norbert is definitely a mad one, but I'll tell you what is
Norberto.
even madder. Norberto Neto. I'll tell you what's even madder is the fact he came running out of his goal and then he actually tried to save it with his hands.
Bit like Sanchez did.
Unbelievable, right? So look, that's the only one. I think Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis-Skelly, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, NWANERI, Martinelli, and Havertz will be the team. That's if unless there's any last minute injury news. And I will say this: I think that the midfield we should be able to dominate, because I look at Manchester City's midfield and it's been pretty poor this season. So that could win us the game, but it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Do you know? Just to go back on Ethan and Skelly, I think in this game, and I think probably in this, I'm going to say in this title charge for you, whether it is or not, but ultimately, whatever this is, I think the good thing with Ethan and Skelly is it's fair to say that Arsenal maybe are carrying some scars, some battle wounds from previous seasons, some kind of PTSD, some might call it, right?
Yeah.
with these two players, they don't have that. This is a beauty of, if I talk about my daughter, she'll go on slides that I wouldn't go on, right? Because they're not scared of nothing. And this is
Yeah.
the same with football. Young kids aren't scared of anything. They don't have that kind of, they're fresh, and you know what? They'll do what they want to do within a certain extent. And I think with this game, that's probably quite an important game because, you know, although you have got better results against City, there probably is still with some of them is beating this lot is a bit of hard work. Whereas with these two, they're seeing it as now, this is an opportunity for us to show just how good we are. And I see like these are two players that are taking the opportunities they're being given. They're not kind of, you know, sometimes when you have youngsters, they get a chance in the game because of injuries, they don't take them. These two are saying, no, give me a chance. I'm going to show you what I'm worth. So as far as with us, I agree with you. The midfield battle, especially after last night, we didn't get to rest anyone. Well, midfield-wise. I want to talk about Marmoush quickly. Does he worry you?
Yes, he does, man. I wanted to sign him. I think he's a baller, bruv. I looked at him over at Stuttgart. Didn't know much about Stuttgart, Frankfurt. I thought he was going to be a very, very good player, and I heard stuff about him, and I thought, all right, let's go and take a look. I don't know much about him, and because he was 25, I thought maybe he's just having like a season. That's it, because he would have been good by now, mate. He looks rapid. He looks good. He looks like he knows where the net is. I think he's a player that has that kind of mentality, which has that tenacious, never say die passion, desire, drive. I think you've got a really good player on your hands here, mate. I think he's a great. And to have him for 50 million or whatever it was, that is a very good signing, man. So, yeah, I like Savio as well. I'm a fan. I like him. I always liked him when I saw him. I know that he went through a bit of a kind of patch where he couldn't score a goal, but I thought once he did score, he'd continue to, and I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened now. And, you know, Haaland and Foden are getting back into them, scoring goals and being a threat again now. So kind of the worst time for them all to come back into it, but it's still not a bad time to play Man City because I do think we can dominate that midfield. I don't know what your midfield trio is. I guess is it Kovacic, Bernardo, and
so Kovacic was really good again last night. For me, Kovacic, since he's arrived at our club, look, you'll remember we played you and he had a really bad game. And a lot of kind of rival fans, when they talk on Kovacic, are basing everything on that one single game. Because do you know what? They don't watch that much City. They happen to watch that game. Kovacic, since he's arrived at the club, has been absolutely quality. Last season, second half of the season, he was Rodri's legs. This season, people will say how much we've missed Rodri. Absolutely, we have, right? But we have to, if we look at Kovacic, when we started the season, we didn't have Rodri. We won every game. We played Arsenal. Rodri, I think that was Rodri's second game back. Rodri went off, right? After the Arsenal game, we won 6 and drew 1, right? So when people say the drop-off was the Arsenal game, it wasn't. After the Arsenal game, we won 6 and drew 1 with Rodri in midfield. Rodri then got injured, right? Rodri and Diaz got injured. I'm not saying, look, Rodri is the key, but Kovacic, without Kovacic or Rodri, we're finished. So since Kovacic has come back, we've started to pick up form again. He seems like one of the hungry ones. Some of the older players, some of them look like they've lost their hunger now just because of age. Whereas with Kovacic, he still looks hungry. I think he'll start. After that, I'm really not too sure. I don't think De Bruyne will start. And I think that's right. He shouldn't start. Great player to have off the bench. And predominantly, I think that might be a role that he starts taking up more and more for us. I said at the back end of last season. Marmoush will start 100%. I think Savio will probably start as well. But look, Dan, the other thing is our defence. We haven't got Diaz. I don't think Diaz will be back for the Arsenal game. And that's quite important because without Diaz, our defence, there's no one that knows how to lead that line. We're all over the gaff. So, yeah, like I said, I worry about this game. I see it as a draw. I do think probably it's quite a good time to play Arsenal as well. Without Saka, that's, you know, any time without Saka is a good time. But, yeah, for us, we know where our club is in a draw at the moment. Do you think do you expect 3 points? Let's put it bluntly.
I think we should beat Man City. I don't think we will. I actually think it'll be a draw as well. And that will kill the title race off. Oh, well, if Liverpool
That's what
win,
I was going to ask
which
you
I
next.
think that's so the big game. It's mad. This is why it's a big weekend because that Bournemouth away game ain't easy for Liverpool. By the way, that's a very, very, very tough game. So if they match our result, then we're still in the race.
Yeah.
I think we should beat Man City. I'm not being rude. I respect them so much. How
Yeah,
can
you
you
do.
not?
You always have
Right?
shown us respect, Dan. It's,
How can you not? What they've won,
yeah.
right? I look at you defensively and in midfield, and I just think that this is the time to play you because our midfield of Partey, Rice, and Odegaard should definitely dominate yours. If it doesn't, we've had a bad day. I think defensively you can be got at, although that Saka's out, NWANERI could cause some problems. Martinelli on his day can be good. And obviously Havertz, as much as I'm not a huge fan of him as a proper number 9 out and out prolific one, he can cause havoc and nuisance for you, right? So I think your backline can be got at. So really, Arsenal, I think at home, we should win this game. The reason I don't is I just think mentally we've still got a little bit of a stumbling block. And I actually do believe there'll be a little bit of nastiness in this game as well because Gabriel and Haaland are going to want to come up
Oh,
against
that's
each
going to
other
pick.
again.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know what? Someone mentioned that the other day, and I think we forgot about it. They won't have, and I think the media will make sure over the next couple of days that they definitely don't forget about.
100%.
So I think that will pick up.
It will be stay humble, stay humble, stay humble. It'll be Gabriel having the ball thrown at his head all day. They will be all that build up to it. 100% it will. You got the Pep and Arteta rivalry as well. I know that it's not really a rivalry like Wenger Fergie, but you know what it is. It's about their history. So I think there'll be all that to it as well. And I think that might make it more of an even match, if that makes sense. You know, like it's not a derby by any means, but you know when you get a derby, Everton, Liverpool, you always think, oh, Liverpool smash them. They never do.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Tottenham, it's never like 4-0 Arsenal. I
Yeah.
think like this, we should be going into this game thinking, I think we can comfortably win this, maybe by 2-0. Maybe we can win 3-1. We're not going to. We're not going to win 3-1 or 2-0.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think the two things that are going to be interesting for me that I'm apart from, I don't know if the midfield will be. The midfield battle should be won by you guys, which is crazy because I'm so used to having a physical midfield. Ever since the minute Mancini arrived, we've just always had physicality over the team. We haven't got that at the moment. But the two areas that I think the one I worry about is your set pieces. We're not great at defending set pieces, and that does worry me because you are good at them. Gabriel's going to have an extra kind of leap in him as well because of what happened in the last game. The one for you that maybe you should worry about, and I think will be interesting, is we've seen Saliba and Gabriel do a really good job on Haaland over the last couple of years. I'm not going to say, he's scored in a couple of the games, but generally they've done quite a good job. I think what's going to be interesting is if we play Marmoush after watching the Chelsea game. Marmoush makes runs behind, right? And all of a sudden, there's that extra thing for your defenders is, you can't kind of both keep your eyes on Haaland anymore. Because if you do, Marmoush is going to get in. And I think that is going to be a really interesting one to see how Arsenal deal with, if we do come out with Haaland and Marmoush, how you deal with that. And who knows, we might see Oscar Bob as well, but I doubt it. He might be on the bench. But Dan, listen, it's been really good to have you on. It's football's 12th man, isn't it?
Yes, mate. Football's 12th man. Cheers, bro.
People, please make sure you head over to, firstly, head over to Dan on, I think that's, is that Twitter or Instagram below? It's got to be Instagram.
Both, yes. All social media.
You do Twitter still.
Yeah.
You
I do
have to,
Twitter
right?
just about. I'm debating whether to or not, but yeah, I'm doing it just about. But all my TikTok, Insta, Twitter is all Dan Arster87, and then Football's 12th Man's my YouTube, mate. So thank you,
Lovely.
bro.
So people, please get over to Football's 12th Man. He's one of the good guys. Give him a like, give him a subscribe, and keep involved in all of his content that keeps coming. Right, people, we're going to end this show here. We have more previews coming up, and more. We have a show tonight as well at 8 p.m. with MCFC lads, myself and Steve. I wanted to call it Lads and Dads, but Steve's gone with Blues Review. So anyway, Dan, appreciate you coming on, and Blues, catch you soon.